everyone's, but relative to the creation of loss mitigation, we're talking about the investor's loss. Okay, the investors created loss mitigation. It was created. It's a toolkit of options to prevent foreclosures. They were created to prevent their loss. Now, is it an awesome, awesome result that a lot of times a borrower gets to keep their home when they might not have before? Is it a great result that a foreclosure is averted so a community and blight on that street is avoided? And that the family that otherwise might have had to leave their home that they've known possibly for years and years and years, that's avoided and they get to keep their home. Awesome, awesome results, but not why it exists. Okay? Loss mitigation actually started as a concept back in the 80s to answer pockets of high default, maybe a union strike, maybe a natural disaster, what have you. These options of, you heard Joe talk about forbearance and repayment plans, maybe even short sales, used in pockets of high default. Late 80s, early 90s, to their credit, HUD was actually kind of the first to realize, you know what, it works in pockets. This pay or pack mentality is first of all very expensive. We're losing a lot of money on foreclosures, but also expensive all the way around for the borrower, for the community, et cetera, et cetera. You know, let's strongly encourage servicers to do this. And that's what they did in the early 90s. Hey, servicers, you know, you service loans on our behalf, and we pay you a servicing fee, and we let you keep the late charges you collect. So, you know, we'll keep doing that. We encourage you to start doing loss mitigation. Now, you're going to have to hire dozens and dozens of people, and you're going to have to buy some fax machines and some cubicles and set them all up, but we really encourage you to do this. What do you think the servicers did? No thanks. Sounds like a great idea, but we are a for-profit business, as every servicer is, and we choose to not do this. And then HUD went back to the drawing board rather quickly for the government, might I add, and they said, okay, by the way, we're not encouraging you, we're telling you now. And thus the mortgagee letter was born. So then it basically, early 90s, mid 90s, it became not an option. It became part of the tier rating system that Joe referenced. Built into it were servicer incentive dollars to offset the cost of hiring the people and purchasing the fax machines that eat your faxes, and you know, getting chairs and seats and paying for the utilities, et cetera. So all those provisions were created. Then Fannie Mae followed suit, Freddie Mac followed suit, and kind of the rest, as they say, is history. But I wanted to kind of give that little bit of history to kind of reinforce the fact that as much as I would like to say we do loss mitigation because it's the right thing to do for the community, it is. That's not why it exists. Loss mitigation is not benevolence. It's not philanthropy. It's not altruism. It is a business decision to reduce loss. Okay? So as we move through my presentation, which will be rather quick, I want you to keep that in mind. I remember how to do this. Okay. Chase Home Mortgage, our mission statement is to serve all those who aspire and to achieve and sustain home ownership. So, you know, our delinquency rates right now, I think, are about maybe 4% of the 5 million loans we service are past due. So I appreciate that, you know, 4% isn't a huge number in terms of percentage, but that 4% isn't forgotten in our mission statement. We definitely want to still serve them, despite the fact that they might have fallen on tough times. This first slide, I didn't alter my typical presentation a lot, wanting to leave room for whatever discussion we might need to have even after Wells Fargo's presentation. I think Joe did a great job, though, talking about this concept, the fact that the mortgage company doesn't just willy-nilly decide who they want to provide assistance to. There are very specific and structured loss mitigation guidelines set forth by the investor who actually owns the loan. There are tier ratings, there are fines if you don't do it properly or well enough. So are we clear on that concept? Okay. Okay, and I think, you know what, I think I'm actually going to take this out of the presentation altogether. One of the things I think that the media has actually done a really great job